What up? I'm actually at my warehouse right now, so I apologize. I don't have my crystal clear microphone or camera or any of that stuff. I kind of got a raggedy setup for right now in my warehouse office. So thanks for you guys for bearing with me there. Waiting for an order. I've been up here all day, and I figured I need to get a mini setup here so I can do videos and all that stuff right now. This is what I will say. Don't expect this to be the case all the time, but we are going to kind of get this room set up so I can stream from time to time, as well as giving you guys material in video format. Thank you all for the continued support, though. Ripperverse.com. Go ahead and get in where you fit in. We have been bagging, boarding, doing all sorts of stuff to prep, as we will be doing much of August. So the latter half, we can get prepared to start the fulfillment process for ISOM issue number 1. Again, thank you for the support. But today I want to talk about DC and some of the changes that we see going on. It's 2 stories that I really want to talk about. One may seem like nothing, but I do think that it does speak to the significance of the change it is that we are going to be getting with the incoming DC stuff. So for you guys that don't know, DC changed ownership, kind of transfer of ownership once AT&T let go of their entertainment properties with this recent deal merging with that is Discovery. And new CEO comes in. We know there's been some changes, but this is one of the changes that I do think is significant, though it might not seem that way. DC has completely dropped comics from the URL and social handles. And I do think you're going to see a lot more of that going forward as well. Now, DC, yeah, we know. DC Comics basically says Detective Comics. However, that's what it's always been, and the reason being is because that was the primary emphasis was comics. That does not mean that they didn't have stuff outside of comics and they didn't prioritize that at times. No, it's not what we're saying. It's that was the ultimate thing. Even if you had an appearance in a video game or movie, the primary thing that there was to focus on, let's say, were the comics and adaptations of such. Now we know, and I've already made this argument for a while now, they stopped caring about that and focusing on what was going on in that space. However, this is significant, as it's being read right here from Comic Book. DC launches new website, again, drops comics from URL and social media handles. What that tells me is that they don't, look, I don't know if they're going to end their publishing wing, but I know that that's kind of going on the back burner. And to be fair, you look at it from their perspective, they're like, well, we're not making money as much from that. There's not much passion in these projects anyway from the comic book stuff, but it's not like they're just knocking them out the park in terms of the sales. You can go watch my previous videos talking about that and that recent Comic-Con and ICV2 data that came out, which spoke on what was going on with the industry and kind of the smoke and mirrors that exist there. Simply put, comics are not a high priority. I don't think it was with AT&T when they had it, or Warner, and now Warner Discovery. It's not their primary focus. They're not making as much money from comics anyway. You know, they're having blockbuster films, they have merchandise. That is the focus. Like, they look at it like characters have taken a mind of their own. They kind of been cemented within American culture, and they don't care. Simply put, like a guy that now inherits that. These are not comic book lifers that care about that or at all. These are businessmen. So they look at the bottom line, they see the merch, they see the movies, they say, hey, this is where is going to be our bread and butter. Maybe not associating it with comics all the time, what will help us is probably the way that they certainly look at that. And of course, more of this stuff is evident in, they say that they want to protect their DC brands as part of their new strategy. Looking at this from BBC, it says this week the company scrapped the new Batgirl film months before its release. New 10-year plan was revealed at the entertainment and film company's Q2 earnings report. Chief executive David Zaslav said it wanted to protect the DC brand by focusing on the quality forthcoming big screen blockbuster. Zaslav, who heads the newly merged Warner Discovery, said the company's main objective was to grow the DC brand and to grow the DC characters. You look at Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. These are brands that are known everywhere in the world. Again, this is what I say all the time about a lot of these characters that they have I mean, not even to other people. They really have kind of transcended comic books, right? They're part of American culture. We have done a reset. We've restructured a business where we are going to focus where there is going to be a team with a 10-year plan focusing on just on DC. So this is the part that's going to get interesting because they say DC plan is very similar to the structure Alan Horn, Bob Iger, and Kevin Feige put together very effectively at Disney. That's not telling me anything that's good right there. As a part of that, we are going to focus on the quality. We're not going to release a film before it's ready. DC is something we can make better. So some people are going to look at this and they say, well, Zaslav's cleaning house, but you got to understand that just because he's cleaning house does not mean that it's a net positive on the DC brand. It's just more so they have their own individual vision. Maybe it doesn't match up with the previous owners, but that doesn't mean that, oh, well, it's going to be less about this bull crap that they start caring about. No, it just means that until proven otherwise, they're just going to repackage it in a way that makes most sense, or they think that makes most sense for their individual vision. I don't think you should hold your breath with these companies. At the end of the day, this is not, again, owned by comic book lifers. These are companies that they see the bottom line. They are owned by people that don't really care about the comic books. So if you're going into it, as a comic book person or fan, thinking that this is going to be some changes, I would say hold your horses there. Just certainly a bit. Let me say this. There'll be some changes, just maybe not to the degree that you think they are. You can take that for whatever way that you may, but seeing the reports that we did get on Batgirl, I do want to add to my previous video that I was right about the thing that it was just very bad. We saw some early screenings, like nobody wants to just take a $70 million loss, and maybe, I don't know whose books that's exactly on. But at the end of the day, if you do want to, even if you didn't pay for that product, it's going to be released with you as the owners. And that's not going to be an overnight process as far as a full merger anyway. But if your idea is that you have a different vision, you don't want to put something out that you can't be proud of anyway. So it seems like it was so bad to the point to where they were saying, look, let's just take that hit. We just won't make money off of that. Forget it. It's not worth it. So I think that says more about how terrible it was as opposed to anything else. But take that for whatever way that you certainly may.